to the weekend preview, where it's time now to focus on Sunday's standout fixture, Chelsea against Manchester United.
It looks unlikely that the title will be going to either Stamford Bridge or Old Trafford this season, but there's still plenty to play for as the two most successful teams in the Premier League era go head-to-head.
Cultures.
Well, a look at the Premier League table shows Manchester United are 6 points and 3 places ahead of Chelsea, with Thomas Tuchel's side looking for a victory to move back up into the Champions League places.
Both teams go into the game in good form after European games in midweek. Let's get some managerial thoughts ahead of Sunday's match.
Hopefully we can win. This is what we go for. We know that it's a big challenge because, like you said, they have an unbeaten away record so far. So we know what we are up against. A team that can hurt you any second with individual quality. A team that can hurt you any second with speed. And They are a strong team from away. They can defend very compact. They are very, very good in transition with their wingers, with Rashford, with Bruno Fernandes for deliveries, and then Greenwood, Eddie Cavani, Martial, whoever plays, will be a big challenge to defend all this. To defend counterattacks, the implication is huge. Of course, if we get a win out of this game, it's huge for us. If they get a win, it will be huge for them to put a difference between us and to increase the difference.
Our group mentality is really good, and we look forward to these games. Of course, we know Thomas has come in. Now it's changed a little bit at Chelsea, so. It's going to be a great challenge for us. You can see the results, you can see the stats, the possession they have, keep teams away from their own goal, keep the possession. So he's done really well. It's never easy coming in into a season halfway through. So he must be pleased as well. So hopefully we can stop that run. That's my job now.
Well, it should be a brilliant game in the fight for the top 4 in the Premier League. It looks like a real battle. If both of these teams were to finish in the top 4, then, Glenn, who misses out?
Well, oh, God. West Ham? Yeah, no, there's yeah, it would have to be between West Ham and Leicester, wouldn't it? But I think, obviously, United, I think they'd be fine. But that's the thing, because when people are asking me, no, Chelsea, Liverpool are going to get in the top 4, you want to say yes, but no, Leicester aren't going anywhere, are they? So, but West Ham, it's not fluke that they're there after 25 games. So it's going to be a tough one, and between you're fighting over really one space between 3 clubs, it's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, a win for Chelsea, Mel. They're only 3 points behind Manchester United.
Yeah, I think Thomas Tuchel's obviously given them a very concrete identity. We spoke about him on the show the last time, his appointment, what it would do for Chelsea. And it's, you can see it in the results. They haven't lost under him yet. The counter-press is exceptional. United obviously want to play on the counter, so we'll enjoy the fact that Chelsea have so much possession. But we've just seen Chelsea against probably one of the best defensive/counter-attacking units in world football handle that. So it'd be interesting to see what Manchester United try and do to get some joy when they break, because the last thing they want to do is break and have Chelsea win it back and then hit them, because, like I said, the counter-pressing from them has been excellent.
You look at Lampard's first 8 games, Sarri's first 8 games, they conceded goals. What Tuchel's done, he's only conceded 6 clean sheets in 8 in all comp. Defensively, they are much better, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, yeah. And like I say, he's done great result-wise, but I think it's the manner that they've won them that's caught people's eye. I think the majority, well, other than Tottenham, they should be, and obviously Atletico, they're beating teams that they should be beating.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way that they're doing it with almost no chance of losing the game, and to have that confidence as a player, it's phenomenal and can only stand you in good stead going forward. So, yeah, he's done absolutely great, but I think it's mainly because he shored it all up at the back.
Yeah, there were concerns, weren't there, when Thiago Silva got injured a couple matches ago, Mel, that it wouldn't be quite as solid at the back, especially because they've previously worked together. That seemed like it could potentially affect the Chelsea defence, but they've managed to adapt even without him in the side. Are you surprised how quickly things have clicked for Chelsea under Tuchel?
Not surprised, no, because he is a very, very good coach, excellent at putting systems in place. So, we're talking about the loss of a player there, and really, really good managers aren't affected, their systems aren't affected when one is missing or two are missing. And so there was never a danger, I think, of him coming in and not giving them a clear sort of way to play, and him not understanding the strengths of the squad. He knows some of the players quite well because, he'd seen them in Germany. He's worked with young players throughout his career. That's his USP, developing players, getting that extra 10% out of them. And I'm not in the slightest bit surprised that it's clicked so well, because when he became available, when you knew Frank Lampard was under pressure, when you saw the players Chelsea have in that squad, which is an absolute gift for any manager, you thought to yourself, this makes a whole lot of sense. And often the way I get a reading of clubs and what they do is I speak to all their staff from all their rivals to see what they think. Chelsea's rivals would have been happier if Lampard stayed. They don't like the fact that Tuchel's come in because he is a very, very, very good tactician. The only thing that could go wrong is he's got a combustible personality and tends to fall out with the people he works with. And Chelsea, we know their history of sacking. So, yeah.
We've seen that last week. Hudson-Odoi, sub, obviously played in the game against Atletico. Because I see an analysis of that game. He had the second most sprints when he come on. He looked like he worked hard. So what do you think the manager's seen in that performance from Hudson-Odoi that made him sub him?
I don't know, because I'd like to think that if I was, unless it's a terrible performance, which it clearly wasn't, even if I'm the manager, I'd like to think that, I'd be tactically aware that I've brought this guy on. There must be somewhere else you can tinker it without making it, almost embarrassing for the player to whip them straight off. And of course there's situations, red cards or whatever, where someone's got to come off. But for me, I just think it's kind of, look, I'm not going to tell the manager what, he knows football probably better than I do from a managerial role, but I just think it could always be avoided. But as a player, there's no way you're going to be happy about it.
Remember what happened to Moise Keane, didn't it? Everton, Duncan Ferguson took him off, do you remember? And it's how you react.
I think as well that the positive with the way Tuchel did it is at least he explained himself after, and you did actually understand, although obviously you're saying about the stats being different to what he said, he had a reason, and at least he spoke to the press and explained his decision.
Yeah.
It could work as a positive for Hudson-Odoi.
The stats and the evidence contradict what his reasoning was, but I'd asked and I was told that it was happening right in front of him. And
because he was the nearest player to him.
Yes, and because it was happening right in front of him, all his focus was on Hudson-Odoi because it was right in front of him. And so whatever frustrations was happening elsewhere in the pitch, wherever the ball was getting lost or something wasn't going quite the way he wanted, Hudson-Odoi was the one he kept seeing. So sometimes that makes sense. And then I think it's obviously not nice. If you wouldn't have liked if that happened to you as a player. I don't think there's any player who'd take that well, right?
Yeah.
But you must always focus on the response. And I think both the manager and the player have responded very well. Maybe Tuchel's watched it again and thought, I was a bit harsh on him there. Actually, it went wrong there and he was the focal point. And the players not, taken that as a slight on him, on his performances, on what the manager thinks of him, and he played very well against Atletico.
It's an interesting point, that, because I played in the middle of the park, so I was never on the manager's side. So for you as a right back, at some point, you'd have been on the manager's side. Do you have any managers that used to get on to you when you were that right back because you were the closest to him?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Is there a particularly vocal manager you can remember?
Well, over the years, I've probably had a row with every single one of them because even if it's not directly you, they tell you to pass the message. And you're trying to play this game, and I've had managers where they're coaching you through the game, and I'm thinking, well, if you need to tell me what I need to do, then I shouldn't be here. Take me off and put someone else. You know what I mean? But it's just their, the energy to want to get involved in the game, and that's kind of their way of trying to be supportive. But it can drive you a bit mad at times.
It should be a fascinating battle, this one, between the two managers as well, Mel, because, of course, Thomas Tuchel was the manager of PSG in what was probably Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's best night as a manager.
Ole's at the wheel.
Yeah, Ole's at the wheel that night. So will Thomas Tuchel want some revenge?
I don't think that will really be playing on his mind. I think he wants to beat Manchester United in general. First, because he's Chelsea manager and that's a task at hand, but also because he's been admired by United for a long time. And in Germany, there was a strong sense that that would be the club, the English club he'd land up at. And obviously, he didn't think, having left PSG, that he'd get an opportunity so quickly, but you can't turn down that Chelsea job, especially with the squad at their disposal. So I think in general terms, he wants to continue making a big statement in this league. I think the fact that it's United and there's a personal sort of link there and they're quite an historic side makes it, I think the revenge element is probably a few layers down there somewhere, but that won't be the overriding thought. I think in a tactical sense, he'd be very intrigued to see, like we spoke about the Atletico challenge. United will present a similar challenge, but better attuned to it, you know, in the league. And with having a very clear talisman, how did Chelsea stop Bruno Fernandes? And is that what they'll look to do? Will they just look to shut him out? So I think from Tuchel's perspective, it would give him a good marker of the progress of his side, how they play this game.
You talk about Bruno Fernandes, his stats are remarkable. I think Diaz, you know, for me, would be player of the year, but defenders don't usually win it. I think Van Dijk, you know, magnificent. How could he not win it? So Bruno Fernandes will have a chance because creative player usually wins the top awards. How do you see him? If they've got Jorginho, they've got Kante, would you man-mark him? Because teams haven't man-marked him yet. I remember man-marking Zola for Chelsea at Leicester.
How did that go?
Really well. He got taken off after 60 minutes. We won the game 2-0.
There you go.
Would you look at marking him because he's not going to go over the pitch? Kante would be perfect for that role. If you nullify Fernandes...
Well, yeah, there's no doubt he's your biggest threat. But, you know, sometimes in the big clashes, they don't give the player that much respect.
No.
I think as a manager, what I'd say is I don't want you to man-mark him, but as soon as he gets it, I want you to arrive within, you know, milliseconds.
Yeah.
I don't want you to focus your game on him.
Follow him everywhere.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that, but the closest player to him, jump on him the minute he gets the ball.
Yeah.
And that's because Bruno Fernandes is a fantastic footballer. He won't just stand still if someone's coming close. So I wouldn't want Kante to follow him into when he drops back into the centre halves and that, because now we've lost Kante.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want my good players to do that.
Close the passing lanes to him, and when he does have the ball, get tight on him. No space, no time.
Yeah.
Bruno, he's just been magnificent, hasn't he, Bruno Fernandes? And whenever you feel like Manchester United are dipping, he just can pop up with that bit of magic. He's in double figures for goals and assists this season already. 15 goals, 10 assists. It's incredible. He continues to impress and be that leader in this Manchester United team. Yeah,
Solskjaer's time at United is divided into before Bruno and after Bruno. There is a very distinct difference, and he is it. It's not just his own numbers and his own performances. He demands better from everyone around him. You see it in games. You see it in his body language. You see it when he hasn't played and he comes onto the pitch. It's just a change. He wants to win. He is driven, and that just rubs off on everybody. He is naturally a leader, and I think what I've liked probably most about him, other than the technical skills and stuff, is that whenever he's asked to speak and whenever the focus is placed on him, he will say, well, actually, no, Fred did this, and there was also this, and we worked well as a unit on this. And if United aren't really doing that well, or if they've had a good run, he's always like, well, that's gone now. We have to focus on this. And people can sometimes see it as cliches, but you can tell it's coming from a very honest place with him. And I don't think he is happy or would be happy if they don't win trophies. He is that type of character that he's built to win, that wants to do everything to win. I think he's been very, very good for United, but I think their issue is if teams can stifle him, can nullify him, then it reduces their threat considerably.
On the counter argument, I agree. Fantastic player, one of the best players in the Premier League. His stats are remarkable. United can't do without him. But to be considered a great at that football club, he has to do it in the big games. 4 semi-finals. We're not really seeing Fernandes against the top 6.
Yeah.
When I say the top 6, I mean the
traditional
big 6. He has to do it in those games.
Yeah, you do. And that's when he's really going to be judged. Obviously, he'd be good enough to, stroll around and win the games at weaker sides. But the top teams will know how to, dilute his performance. And he will need to find a way. Because the team around him is also, they're good enough to win something, So it's not like he's pulling... He is the main man, but he's not pulling it all his own way. He's got support and help around him. But against them top teams, they're also very smart and they know how to shut the door on players.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get all your predictions for Chelsea Man United a little bit later. Let's move on now and talk Liverpool.